As the saying goes, don't bite the hand that feeds you, cleans you, and keeps you alive. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now, if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn of the Barbie, click that like button, click that like button, click that like button, and enjoy today's stories. Thank you. Am I the asshole for kicking my son's wife out? So my son got married super early, at 18 years old, and I supported him, but also expressed my grievances. Anyways, his wife has always hated me for anything I do. I've tried to lead an olive branch, but she always rejects it. Him and his wife fell on quite hard times after my son lost his job. My son has been fine living with me, but his wife hasn't. She complains about anything and everything I do. She hates my cooking, but if my son heats her up a bowl, it is the best thing ever. If I clean the whole house plus the room they're staying in, I always miss a spot and never get a thank you or anything. Yesterday, I decided I didn't want to be treated like this anymore, and I told her I don't know where this hostility was coming from, and if she doesn't at least try to get to know me, then she can leave. She proceeded to call me the B word, so I gave her 30 days to move out. My son said that was too harsh, to just deal with it, but I have for a long time. So Reddit, am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I could be the asshole because I could have been less harsh and ignored her. Now in the comments, not the asshole. Married adults acting like children. Nobody's entitled to your house, 30 days is generous. There is no reason why either of them cannot find work right now. Married adults acting like children. You mean married children thinking they're adults. Not the asshole. If she can't refrain from biting the hand that feeds her, houses her, cooks her meals, and vacuums the floor she walks on, she's welcome to find a more compatible place to live where they will cater to her for free. Not the asshole. You are giving them a place to stay, food to eat, and other living necessities. It is your house and you have a right to kick them out if they aren't pulling their weight. Especially if she's disrespectful towards you at every corner. It boggles my mind. My husband and I lived with my in-laws shortly after getting married, as we were in the middle of finding a place of our own. We didn't pay rent, so instead, we cooked, cleaned, went grocery shopping, and did maintenance. Family or not, adults have to contribute to the household in one way or another. The disrespect is the final straw. No one should expect free housing, food, and maid service, and then disrespect the person providing all of that. I'm glad you stood up for yourself, OP. And back to the post, OP provides an edit. Edit to add, I found out why daughter-in-law has been treating me like this. My son told her that I resent her for taking my son. I don't know why he told her that, but it is what it is. And info, I'm kicking my son out too. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for telling my brother that he shouldn't call himself a dog dad? So for some context to the situation. I, 30 male, am the father to 2 children, my son who is 5 and my daughter who is 1. I have worked hard to bring up my kids, since it has involved juggling my career, bills, rent, and mortgage payments, as well as all the other expenses that come with being an adult, all the while raising my children. Needless to say, it hasn't been easy, so I'm proud of the fact that I have 2 happy and healthy children. My brother is 23, and has said that having children isn't a priority in his life, and if it happens, it happens. His reason for this is that he wants to be able to travel, enjoy his career, and be able to have the option to do things spontaneously, which I don't have a problem with. He also has an English bulldog puppy, which he got from a breeder, so that's something that I disagree with, but I can't tell him how to live his life. Which brings me to the issue. Despite not having kids, my brother constantly jokes about how him and his boyfriend are parents to their dog. Their friends even go as far as to send them dog dad cards on Father's Day. After raising my children, I find it rude when he refers to himself as a dad when owning a dog isn't nearly as hard as raising 2 children. I brought this up to him, and he defended himself by saying that him calling himself a dog dad isn't hurting anyone. I told him that this isn't the case, since there's people who can't have children, poor people who struggle to raise children, etc., who will likely be very hurt by him and his partner's comments. They both haven't spoken to me since. Am I missing something? I know I could have made my point in a less direct way, but surely calling yourself a dog parent isn't something that should be normalized. Am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I may have been the asshole here, since there is an argument that I could have made my point in a less direct way. Now in the comments, quote, he also has an English bulldog puppy, which he got from a breeder, something that I disagree with. Oh, bless your heart. How old were your children when you adopted them? You're the asshole. You sound bitter. If parenting is so hard, then think harder about having kids next time. Other people choosing to see their pets as children isn't a threat to you. It's not a competition. If you find it rude that someone wants to call themselves whatever they want because it interrupts your martyr complex, the problem is you. Also, fun fact, plenty of human parents are okay with other people calling themselves dog parents. Not everyone is this insecure or competitive about misery. I am friends with a couple of people who have been struggling to conceive. They have a couple of dogs and a cat and call themselves dog parents. So for OP to sit there and say, those who can't have children will be hurt by the comments, no, not all are. I can't speak for everyone, but the ones I know who are open about it don't care. Especially since they refer to themselves the same way. When my boyfriend and I were trying, we thought we couldn't after a couple of years and called ourselves dog parents. I am that person struggling with infertility who can act like their dog is their kid. Actually, my parents call themselves our dog's grandparents, and she's their grand dog. You're the asshole. Bold of you to speak of people who can't have kids while having two yourself. I had a stillborn baby, and owing to complications, I can now not have children. You don't speak for me, you asshole. Me and my dog daughter say hi to your brother and his baby. This is what I found the weirdest part. This has nothing to do with people who can't have children or poor people. Many of those people are probably pet parents. Guy just won't accept that not everyone is impressed by the fact that he's a dad. Eye roll. And like billions of people have been born on this planet, having kids isn't impressive. Then these same parents have let it be known to everyone how difficult it is to raise kids when they made the deliberate choice to have them in the first place. Nobody forced them into having kids. OP needs to stop being so bitter because his brother didn't throw away his freedom like he did. I bet you he's one of those who chimes in whenever anyone child-free says they're tired, and says, try having kids. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole because we don't want my husband's kids with us? This is a long story. My husband married to a woman when he was in his early 20s, mostly because his conservative family expected him to do so, and at the time he never thought he would come out of the closet. Nevertheless, 4 years later, when she was pregnant with their second son, as their eldest daughter was barely 3, he couldn't take it anymore and told her his real orientation. The scandal was big, he was shunned from both families, and had to literally escape to a city on the other side of the country, which was my city by the way. My husband spent years trying to keep contact with his ex, trying to be involved with the kids and to pay child support, but her hate, which I find understandable, was so big that she didn't want anything to do with him, and she didn't want the kids to even know him. We had been together for some months when he got a mail from a lawyer that had actually asked for him to surrender his parental rights so that his ex's new husband could adopt the kids. He is not good with confrontation, and by this point, he had already accepted that he had lost his kids, so he signed the papers. This was 7 years ago. Since then, we have made our own life, and honestly, it's a very good one. We both have good paying jobs that we like, we have a lot of free time, we travel around the world. We also have 3 beautiful dogs and a good apartment. Call it the trauma, but he doesn't want the kids, and nor do I. And here is the problem. Recently, both his ex and her husband died. I'm not really sure what happened, and her sister, the aunt of the kids, got the custody. She doesn't want them, and it seems no one in the family does. Nor his ex's, not his own, not the one of the new husband. According to my husband, it's not out of malice, but because they don't have money, and they have their own kids to attend to. So the aunt wanted to return the kids to their biological dad. We contacted our lawyer, and to put it simply, we can refuse. There is no legal obligation, and while my husband could use his bio status to recover the paternal rights, there is no way they can force him to do it. We sent our answer, and the storm came upon us. Online bullying, hateful phone calls and messages, all from the kid's family. The main idea is that he's a deadbeat and a horrible human being for leaving his children, especially when we have all the resources to do so. On our side, well, it's sad they're now orphans, but we're speaking about a 10-year-old female that doesn't remember his face and a 7-year-old male that never met him, both going through a very difficult loss and in no way fit for moving to a new city far away from everything they know. Even if we wanted kids and were willing to entirely change our lifestyle for them, they are the worst option I can imagine. We are both on the same page here, but the constant attacks that we've managed to partially stop have made our minds uneasy. So that's why we came here to ask if we really are being the assholes in all of this. Now in the comments, you're the asshole. Not really you as much as your husband. I can't imagine how hard it was to pretend to be someone he was not while he was still in the closet. My heart goes out for that, but he was still a sovereign person who chose to live a closeted life and chose to have children. I cannot stress this enough. The children did not abandon him. His ex-wife should have never refused to let him see them, but it's difficult to get full custody with no visitation rights without proof of abuse or something of the like. I won't make assumptions, and fail towards your husband believing it's best for the children at the time not to be caught up in the middle of their parents' animosity. But now the children need him, and they are his. He is the asshole, period. If bringing them into your life would be too difficult, and the two of you don't believe you'll be able to provide them a loving home, I'll understand that. But the very least he can do is offer financial support to the aunt who would take them were she able to get to know them. Quote, on our side, well, it's sad they're now orphans, both going through a very difficult loss and in no way fit for moving to a new city far away from everything they know. This is the worst part to me. Just say you don't want to mess up the life that you've cultivated for yourselves. You aren't doing the children any favors by lending them no support and casting them into the extreme uncertainty that is likely group homes and the foster care system. Edit, this is not r/advice or r/legal advice. The question is not if he should or legally has to adopt his children. He obviously has no legal obligation, and after reading this post, I could not strongly advise him to adopt these children. OP's husband wants to put his own needs ahead of those of his children. He would not make a good parent. That still makes him an asshole. Everyone sucks here, except for those poor children. Your husband sucks for marrying someone and fathering children under false pretenses, and then walking away from his kids. He should have fought to stay in their lives from the beginning. His ex sucks for vindictively cutting him out of the kids' lives. All the families suck for abandoning two kids whose whole world had been turned upside down. You for describing two kids that lost everything as the worst option I can imagine for having children. I hope those kids find someone who gives a damn about them. I'm surprised most people don't even acknowledge the sperm donor did the kids and the birth mother wrong by lying and impregnating her twice. He knew he was gay as per OP. That's an asshole move. Birth mother was the asshole by shutting him out, but the timeline doesn't make sense. As per OP, husband moved to another city and gave rights 7 years ago, just after or even before the second child was born. That is not years of fighting for the right to have a relationship. The only ones who are really the victims here, and definitely not the asshole, are the kids. Being born into a loveless marriage, then surrendered by a father who doesn't seem to want them, lose their parents, and then realizing yet again that sperm donor rejects them. I was all ready to say you're the asshole, and this is a reasonable definition of deadbeat dad. Except for this bit. He got mail from a lawyer that actually asked for him to surrender his parental rights so that his ex's new husband could adopt the kids. He had already accepted that he had lost his kids, so he signed the papers. That changes everything. Not the asshole. And that's without going into the hate and had to literally escape part of this. I'm not sure what else your husband could have done. He can hardly be blamed for taking the least bad from a bunch of awful choices. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my parents their divorce was hard on me even if we are still friendly afterwards? I, 24 female, am expecting my first child, and the event brought up some issues between my parents and I. When I was 8, my parents divorced. They still got along okay, but didn't want to be together anymore and worked on co-parenting and making things easier for me and my brother, who was 10. It was better than some of my friends had it, but still hard. I mourned the family life that I had enjoyed before, having one home where both parents live and where we were just a family. Not two families with different kids in one and a new person who is considered your parent by everyone but you. And where it's weird because everyone thinks them getting along made it so there was no struggling. But then people just think that you fall madly in love with a nice person that your parent marries and then readily accept a new person in a position of a parent. They think that it makes jumping between homes easier. It does somewhat. If we forgot something at mum or dad's house, the other would bring it to us to pick it up with no drama. But I used to long for those days where I had a home. When my brother was 17 and coming up on graduation, my parents told him all 4 parents were going to do the graduation dinner for the graduating kid and parents, and he told them no, because he only had 2 parents. Only mum and dad could go. They said he had 4, that the step-parents were just as good parents, and he told them no. The relationship changed after that. It was only with me becoming a mum, they expected me to side with them over what had happened, and for me to say everything was perfect with the divorce. I told them it wasn't, that the divorce was hard on me despite how well they got along. That I was so happy they were happy and had better lives now, but divorce is always going to be something to adjust to for a kid, regardless of circumstances, and they can't keep forcing us to say otherwise. They called me childish, and we haven't spoken since. Am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I told my parents their divorce was still hard on me even though they were friendly. It's been so long that maybe I should have left it unsaid instead of bringing it up when I know my brother's feelings still bother them. Now in the comments, not the asshole. You expressed a perfectly valid emotion and did so in a non-judgmental way. It was not childish. Their reaction was, though. Not the asshole. It was understandable. You can't adapt immediately. It takes time. You were right to tell them that. You were respectful and reasonable. My parents broke up when I was 19 and no longer lived at home. I was an adult and it still sucked so bad and it still shattered my world. I can't even fathom how awful it must be for a child. It's something you might possibly never get over, and I don't see why you should lie if someone asks you how you felt about it. Not the asshole. You're allowed to feel how you feel regardless of how it makes them feel. Of course you aren't wrong for having feelings. Granted, it may have been a lot worse for you if they tried to stay together and just fought and had a bad home life instead. You may well be better off, but that doesn't mean you can't miss that home that you had. Yeah. I had parents that stayed together for the kids, and it was awful. But that doesn't invalidate your feelings, OP. You're allowed to feel how you feel. They don't have to like it, but they damn sure should respect it. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.